Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, March 27th, 2001. Welcome to my garden, which right now consists of a couple pots. So today we're going to be planting some peas. I really wanted to try planting peas because, I really like the height that you can get from them. Also, I'm kind of excited about the flowers that it can produce, not to mention the fact that we might be able to actually get some edible peas by the end of it, so we'll see how it goes. The variety I selected is actually, it says, I taped it off because I used it some earlier, but it's an Oregon sugar pod. So this is actually a, they call mange tout in French, which means you can eat the whole thing. It's a snow pea or sugar pod pea. So we will see how this goes. So it is end of March right now, so it's actually a little bit late to be putting these outside, but I was reading that you can plant peas rather early in spring, so March, April. I live in zone 7A, so for us, like, our approximate last date of frost is April 15th, but our true last date of frost is May 15th. So you have to put out things that are potentially frost hardy, and peas are somewhat frost hardy, so from what I was reading. So we'll see how this goes. I just took these two buckets that I had from last year. I actually planted tomatoes in rather successfully. You can see that bucket of stone there. I put stones in the bottom of them because I thought that would help encourage drainage, but from everything I was reading, that actually is like not the best thing because it doesn't really allow the roots really to have room to expand. So I took out the stones in both of those buckets, which was kind of a project in itself. There is one stone at the very bottom just to kind of help cover up like the drainage hole, to prevent soil from clogging it up so it can still drain freely. But then before we plant, my next step is to chicken wire them. So I don't know if you can hear, but right now actually in this tree we got some chittering squirrels, and these squirrels love to ruin my garden every year. So we're going to do a little bit of squirrel maintenance. I'm going to cut these into semicircles, and then we're going to put them on top, and I'll show you how that goes. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, so this is about 1-inch chicken wire. I probably would have went with a slightly smaller chicken wire, but this is the one that I got, so I'm going to use it. And it's going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to approximate, the coverage on top of this, and then I'm going to use some pliers that have a wire cutting, side to them, and cut out like a kind of semicircle and stuff it in there and see how we do. So let me show you the end result of that. Okay, for now I cut out some squarish looking pieces of chicken wire. I actually kind of pulled them to kind of stretch them a little bit so they can fit over the tops of the buckets. They are pliable, so you can give it a little bit of strength. You can see like this one, became a little bit square for me pulling it, but that's okay. So that's just going to help kind of keep the squirrels off. But next we're actually going to start planting our seeds out. Alright, now for the type of soil I'm using, I'm just using some, gardening potting soil that I got from like the local garden store. I added a little bit of extra perlite, which is this kind of white fluffy stuff that kind of helps encourage drainage. So just like a handful or two of perlite per bucket, I think should be probably more than enough, just to kind of help encourage drainage. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this bucket, this is like a approximately 5-gallon bucket, I'd say, and we're going to do 4 different plantings of 2 seeds each. So basically we want to go down approximately 2 inches. So for me, that's about up to my like second knuckle. So we're just gonna stick it right in there. Okay, and right there you got 1 hole, and I'm gonna do the rest, and then we'll come back. Alright, so we got our peas here. We're just going to take 2 of those each, and we're going to drop them into the hole. I actually decided to add I have a bunch of extra seeds, so I decided to plant an extra 2. Excuse my voice, sorry, I didn't have my coffee this morning. So I'm actually planting an extra 2 per hole. See if you can see them in there. Probably not, it's a little dark. But yeah, so we're gonna cover these up and then we're gonna give them a good drink. The plan is that hopefully these will start sprouting, and then we're gonna take like the strongest one from each one. So you could, yes, certainly take 2 per. You could actually leave 2. The Rusted Gardener says that like you can kind of leave 2 of them in, and then you can have double the production, but they may grow less vigorously, so you may at the end get a little bit more production than 1 plant per side. And the other thing is, you know, it may give you more options to trellis them potentially too. So let's see how this goes. So we're gonna cover these up, and then I'm going to do the other one, and then we'll cover it up and we'll give it a good water. All right, I'll just cover these guys up here. Great. Hopefully nice and squirrel proof. Alright, so we have successfully put on our netting. Yeah, it's pretty sturdy. But the last thing I'm going to do, because you really don't know how persistent these squirrels are, is 2 options. Number 1, you could use a staple gun and staple it to the outside. These are wooden, so they'll take a staple well. But what I'm going to do is use these. These are garden stakes. So they're called landscape garden staples. I got them pretty cheap, and I've been using them pretty much every year. And they show basically no signs of degradation. What we're going to do, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to put these in between 2 of these guys and just hug the side of the pot and push it down all the way down to the ground. So one of the problems with having all these stones in the bottom last year too was I wasn't able to push this all the way down into the ground to really get it to hold. So basically it's not going to hold perfectly, but it's going to hold enough that a squirrel won't be able to lift it up and go under that. So I'm going to go around with maybe like 4 or 5 of them on each pot, and then we're going to give it a good water. Alright, so I think that went really well. You can see, you know, these things are pushed in, and these are on there pretty tight. I feel like I can almost lift the bucket with it. Just like with 5 of those landscape staples. So I really recommend that as a good tip to keep these secure. Alright, but we're going to water this, and then we're going to label them, and then I think we're going to be done. Alright, and the last step is just to give it a good soak. So and don't be afraid to really hydrate them. You really want to get those pea seeds are very dried out when they come in the packet. So I'm giving both of these half a can each. And the other thing don't be afraid of is because, you know, we buried them pretty deep, about 2 inches, so, you know, it should be really hard to disturb them, you know. Alright. Great. And so the last thing, so we don't want to, you know, let this completely dry out over the, you know, course of the next couple weeks. So hopefully in 2 weeks we should start getting some sprouts here. I'm going to label these up, but you know, stick around. Hopefully I'm going to be able to keep updating my garden over the course of this growing season, so we can kind of see where these come. I would like to get some nice flowers out of them, and if we get a couple you know, pea pods that we can eat for a salad or something like that, that's going to be even better. So thanks for watching. See you next time.